It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome into another edition of Musso at the box. Fired up to have everybody along. Thank you for being here as well. LSU 10 days for the Tigers take the field against Purdue Fort Wayne. They will open up the season, of course, on Valentine's Day, year number 4 under Jay Johnson. Today we continue our position group preview for LSU. On Monday's show, we did infield. Today, we take a look at the outfield for LSU, a group that is chocked full of options, chocked full of talent, and it's going to come down to finding the right combination. That sound familiar? It's kind of the same thing we've talked about with infield, what we will talk about with catcher, pitchers, really this entire team. That is the challenge ahead of Jay Johnson and his staff, is with a unit, 40 players, chocked full of talent. Can you find the right combination? It looks like they're actually getting a little closer to outfield, and we'll dive into all of that here today. So smash the like if you have not already. Get subscribed to the channel as well. And on your favorite podcast app, of course, just search Moose at the Box. Take me wherever you go with you. That's greatly appreciated. Follow on social media. Those handles scroll on the screen below. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So as said off the top, outfield today for LSU. And look, we will start this conversation with Jay Johnson. We'll let him kick it off for us. When he met with the media to open preseason practice, he was asked about his outfield. This is what he said.
I think in the last game that we played against North Carolina last year, Josh was in left, Jake Brown was in center, and Ashton Larson was in right. Those guys are all back, which is great. We obviously added Chris Stanfield from Auburn. We added Derek Curiel, really good freshman player. You're still looking at Ethan Fry, who's finally healthy, which is great. McPaul has played really good, and underrated story. Had a really significant health issue last year that happened during the season, and he was redshirting, and for him to make it back is pretty remarkable, to be honest with you. So Dalton Beck, who will also figure into DH at bats. Like, I have 8 guys we could play right now out there, and I don't know that there would be much drop off.
8 guys that we could play out there, and I don't know that there'd be much drop off. And he went through all 8. By the way, actually, he might have mentioned 9. He did Stanfield, Curiel, Brown, Pearson, Larson, Beck, Fry, and Paul. He mentioned 8. He mentioned it. Or did Beck? Anyway. Not important. Not important. He mentioned a lot of guys. And normally, I think when you hear that, you think automatically, at least I normally do, okay, coach speak. Like, he's not going to throw any of his guys under the bus or anything. Like, yeah, we got 8 guys, and there's not a drop-off, and we feel good with all of them out there. We love our team. All the things you're used to hearing coaches say, all the things that coaches always say. I actually think in this instance, it's pretty close to the truth. I'm not going to say no drop-off just because, there are some guys who aren't as proven. So I'd have more questions about, right? Like a guy like McPaul. And I've seen McPaul play in these scrimmages here in the preseason, and he's acquitted himself quite nicely. He's been getting plenty of at-bats. He's been playing mostly center field, when he's out there in the field, playing the field, not just DHing or whatnot. So, I think he's an option to get some type of playing time. But again, that's not a guy who is as proven as, somebody like Chris Stanfield or Jake Brown or Ashton Larson. When I look at McPaul, that's a guy who now is in his 3rd year at LSU and was a fantastic player coming out of high school. Was the number 1 player in the state of Utah. When he came out, and of course, when I need stats, we're gonna have a little spinning wheel. Actually, I was trying to get you at bats and games played. And that just doesn't seem like it's going to, well, here we go. No, it's still just going to spin. All right, let's see what we can do here. So as Jay Johnson said there, he redshirted in 2024. In 2023, his first season, he played in 12 games as a reserve outfielder, had 9 at-bats. You're looking at a guy with 9 at-bats, right? So it's not to say he can't have a nice year. It's not to say he can't break into this lineup somewhere. It's just a little more unproven. So I don't know if I would look at it and go without any drop-off, but he's an option. He's one of the 8 there that Jay Johnson named. So what I kind of want to do, let's go through all 8. We kind of just did there at McPaul. So let's go through the 7 that remain. And I actually think outfield is the position group that is the most solidified on this team right now. That is what just based off of what I've seen out there, that's what I believe. We'll start in center field, and we'll start with Chris Stanfield. I believe that Chris Stanfield will be LSU's opening day starter in center field come February 14th when they face Purdue Fort Wayne for a number of different reasons. First and foremost, the experience. Okay. Chris Stanfield is a veteran player, not just in college baseball, but in the SEC. Transfers to LSU after 2 seasons at Auburn and was a top 100 transfer prospect. In those 2 seasons at Auburn, he's been nothing but productive. Would you like to see the bat take maybe a little bit more of a jump this season? Sure. Absolutely. I mean, a season ago, he hit 276, but 276 in the SEC is not that bad, especially at a premium defensive position like center field. And Chris Stanfield is a premium defender in center field. That is not at all debatable. The guy catches everything. He is in that mold of past center fielders who are just, it's a no-fly zone for LSU, right? You hit the ball out there, it's getting caught. That is the type of center fielder that he is, and we've seen it for 2 years at Auburn because LSU played Auburn every year, right? Before the Texas and OU were added to the league. What also stands out to me offensively about Chris Stanfield is just the way he handles the bat. It's very mature. He can do a lot of things. He can turn in a quality at bat, fight off pitches, things of that nature. He can obviously deliver the hit. Mentioned 276 in 2024, but he was also tied for Auburn's team lead in multi-hit games with 16. He is your prototypical leadoff hitter, minus he doesn't hit from the right side. Excuse me, he doesn't hit from the left side. He hits from the right side. Jay likes to have a guy who can run the ball out of the yard in the leadoff spot. Stanfield's not really going to give you that. But when you look at in terms of a complete player that you would want in center field, he hits that mark. He checks those boxes. The other thing is, back to the experience, Chris Stanfield has played 2 seasons in center field in the SEC. A guy like that doesn't transfer to a sit. Now, I'm not saying they're going to give him that role just solely based off of he's played 2 years. No, that's not how it works. Baseball, more than any sport, normally is meritocracy. But he is also producing. And I think when the struggles at the plate maybe creep in a little, the glove is by far good enough to keep him in the lineup. So I think Chris Stanfield is going to play the majority of LSU's games this year, and I think he's going to start day 1 in center field. And I think he's your best option to do that. He is your best defensive center fielder at this point. Not to say that Derek Carriel couldn't turn into that later in his career, but at this point, Chris Stanfield is that to me. Speaking of Derek Carriel, he's going to start. We had this conversation after the scrimmage weekend. And I believe he starts day 1 in left field. I mean, I can go through the whole spiel on him again. It's early. It's preseason. I get it. We try not to overreact, take everything with a grain of salt. But I will just say what I've said multiple times already. We have all seen those type of players who come through LSU, and immediately it's just like, okay, wait, yep, no, that's what it's supposed to look like. It makes sense why he was as highly touted as he should have been. And they go on to have great freshman years and great careers, not just in the field, on the mound. I mean, we could run through all of them. Cruz. And we're gonna invoke some names. Cruz, Bregman, Lang, Gaussman. We could continue. But he's that guy where you'll watch him play and you go, yep, nope, that's what it's supposed to look like. Right there. And the only thing he's missing from his game right now is the power. And that will come. I mean, you look at the frame, 6'2", 182. You can put a little bit more on there. He can get into the power from the left side. But it's hits to all fields. It is elite speed. It is a great glove out in the outfield. He's going to have to play. And he's going to play a lot. And I think those two spots are pretty solidified. That leaves you with right field. And that leaves you with 6 guys potentially for that spot. And what's crazy is we haven't even gotten to Jake Brown, Ashton Larson, or Josh Pearson yet, who started in the outfield in LSU's last game. And that's where we go now. Because yes, all of those guys will have a role. And they should. 100%. You look at, we'll start just with Josh Pearson. Because we have had so many conversations about Josh Pearson on this show throughout his career at LSU. And they all come back to Jay Johnson saying, I trust him. And he should. Josh Pearson is that ultimate trustworthy guy that you know is going to, he's team guy. If he doesn't play all weekend and then gets called upon for a big at bat in a midweek game, or maybe he's out for 4 games and gets called upon in a big pinch hit moment late in a game to win a series, he's come through in that spot time and time again. And on top of that, he has started for you over and over and over again. There are so many plays, so many moments we could point to through Josh Pearson's career at LSU where it's just like, yeah, that's why you trust him, and that's why you should. He's a guy who hit 298 as a freshman at LSU, and since then the bat hasn't been as consistent as you would like. But in 2023, that didn't stop him from making impact. Everyone's immediately going to go to the catch in Omaha, and you should. LSU does not win the national championship without that play. But that's a guy who also hit a game-winning 2-run homer in extra innings against Georgia in the last series of the year off the bench when LSU's fighting to try to win the SEC regular season championship. You put him in there, goes yard. Last season, LSU needed the series win against Auburn. Josh Pearson gets the walk-off single with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th to deliver LSU that series win. There are many more that we could go through. We didn't even touch anything in his freshman year. When you add it all up, that's a guy who's played in 166 games through 3 seasons at LSU with 123 career starts. You would be foolish to think that he's not going to play some type of role for LSU here in 2025. And part of that will absolutely come in the outfield. Is it game number 1? I don't know. It could be. Veteran like that, give him the nod. Let him have the start. But in the charity play with Josh Pearson, that's a really good player that's come up with a hell of a lot of at-bats and a hell of a lot of big moments and clutch moments for LSU in his career. And it's a guy who the head coach trusts. It's the ultimate program guy as well. Just grown up in Louisiana, wanted nothing more than wear the purple and the gold. Plays for the name on the back of the jersey, not the front. I mean, plays for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back. Right? All the cliches you hear, but all of them fit Josh Pearson. So, yeah, that's an option. And one that's going to happen. Jake Brown. Jake Brown started 12 games in center a year ago for LSU and 9 in right. Played in 56 with the 21 starts. So that's almost all of his starts came in the outfield. And you really saw him take to center down the stretch last season. But again, he's got the experience in right as well. I think Jake Brown's a really good outfielder. I think he's a bat that you're going to have in your lineup. You're going to have to figure out a spot for him, whether that's in right field, whether it's DH. A lot of that could depend on the pitching matchup, all of those things. Jake Brown is going to figure in. And if you had to twist my arm right now, I'd probably tell you Jake Brown is a starting right fielder on opening day. Upside there is tremendous. He's got a great arm. You need a really good arm in right. You need a good arm really at any of the outfield positions as well. And he's got that obviously with the pitching background as well. And, a low to mid 90s fastball from the left side. So, I mean, he's got that attribute for you. He tracks the ball really well. Clearly, they played him in center field last season. He feels like the upside guy of everybody remaining. The highest upside guy I've ever been. Ashton Larson's got plenty of upside. Maybe the highest ceiling. And they're expecting the bat to take a major jump this year. He hit just 264 a season ago, but there were some big at-bats in there, and he got hot down the stretch as well. So, again, if I had to tell you what I think they're going to do, that's what I think they're going to do on opening day. For me, right now, it would be Ashton Larson. He continues to hit the baseball. We've talked about this over and over again in the scrimmage recaps. Larson, on last Monday in that scrimmage, their fourth of the opening week of practice, he went 3 for 3. Told you about the great day he had Sunday when I was back out there this past week, where, I think officially LSU had him 2 for 3. I guess they counted one of his as an error. That's a tough error that they gave Stephen Milam, but okay. I mean, he was shifted over to the right side of the infield, deep in the hole, and the ball was hitting the hole. It was not a routine play whatsoever, but anyway, 2 for 3, 3 for 3, whatever you want to call him in that game as well. He continues to hit the baseball, and he hit 298 a season ago as a freshman, was your leading hitter in conference play, and he's continuing to hit the ball. And they played him out in right field plenty. He can defend that position. He can defend them. Is he maybe as high of an upside as Jake Brown as a defender out there? Maybe not. But if you can hit the baseball, they're going to find a spot for you. So, I mean, there's a very real possibility where you could see both of them in the lineup, but Larson getting the start in the outfield and Brown getting the start at DH on opening day. Here's what I will tell you. When LSU takes the field February 14th, I 100% expect the outfield they run out there to be a different outfield than the one that they run out there on Saturday and on Sunday. You're going to see multiple guys play. I think you're going to see Brown, Larson, and Pearson all get starts. All get starts in the outfield on opening weekend. And the other one to throw in there is Ethan Fry. I think Ethan Fry gets a start on opening weekend as well. Ethan Fry, you heard in that cut we played from Jay Johnson right off the top, is finally healthy. And that's huge. And you know what? You started to see that a little bit a season ago. Fry was getting some run early in the season for LSU and was making the most of his opportunities. It really started with the Sunday game against Stony Brook. He came in, got a start, went 2 for 4 and 2 RBI. After LSU got back from Houston, they had to go on the road to Southeastern. And you remember, that was a big letdown spot for LSU. And Southeastern's a good club. And they gave LSU all they wanted in that ballgame. Really, Southeastern controlled it for the majority of the game, especially after Cade Anderson left after 5 glorious innings. But it's late, and LSU needs the knock. They're down 3-1. They go to their bench, get Ethan Fry. He ropes a double to left field, drives in a run, brings LSU within that might have actually tied the game. Let's see. I have I have that here. It cut the deficit to 1, 3-2. Okay, that's what I thought. And then he eventually scored the game-winning run that gave LSU the 4-3 victory. And you saw him start to get more and more run. And he was making the most of his opportunity. And against Xavier, after a 2-for-2 start in that ball game with 3 RBI, he hurts his shoulder diving back into first base. Very similar to what happened to Tommy White early in 2023. His first really real return to action was then on March the 22nd against Florida, and he went 2-for-2. He went 2-for-4, drove in a run in that game, had another hit later in the series, but after that, it was just he never really could catch back on. He's healthy now, and that's a guy who I believe is going to get a start at some point. It maybe not, if not a start, he's going to get some run in the outfield opening weekend. And then, you have a guy like Dalton Beck as well. Dalton Beck has the ability to impact this team in multiple different ways with his arm as a left-handed pitcher and also with the bat. He launched the ball to right field Sunday. I mean, absolutely obliterated a baseball for a home run in the scrimmage. Like it's real power from the left side. That's a guy who can now, I'll be honest, I haven't really seen him play much outfield. It's normally just been pitching and designated hitter. So I don't really know if he's in that running to get something opening weekend. But if I had to look at it and tell you, okay, this is what I think they're going to do opening week when they run it out there for game number 1, left to right, I think it is Curiel, Stanfield, Brown. What I would run out there is Curiel, Stanfield, Larson. We'll see what they do. And then, yes, you'll see plenty of Josh Pearson, and you will see plenty of Larson and Brown, and I think you'll see Fry and all those guys. But I will punctuate it the way we've punctuated all of this. I think you're going to be pretty solid with Curiel and Stanfield. So you're looking for right field. You got a lot of guys who can fill the role. You have to settle on one soon. For me, that's like, in my mind, that's what you have to do. Have somebody out there that you just can't take out. Let them get comfortable with their other outfield mates and put forth your best 3 at that group, which should ultimately make up your best 9. So we always talk about the difference between your best 9 and your 9 best. And there is a difference. You're looking for your best 9. Outfield's going to be a big part of that. Because in my mind, based on what I've seen, you have 4 or 5 guys competing for one spot. And all of them are capable. Jay Johnson says he's got 8. We've run through them all. We'll see what they decide to do. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us here today. That's your look at LSU's outfield. Be sure to subscribe, share, follow on social media, get subscribed to YouTube and on your podcast app. Smash the like button on your way out if you have not done that already. That is greatly appreciated. Helps out the channel tremendously. And be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.